Hey everybody, good morning. We are on our way to Lagos de Ruidera. I don't know, some lakes. We're gonna find out. We've got another 50 kilometers to do today. There is absolutely nobody on this road. I'm on just a local highway, several kilometers. On one side I've got a field of onions, just onions as far as the eye can see. On the other side I've got some grapevines. Pretty relaxing out here. I'm going along this canal here all morning. Part of the humor of Don Quixote is that La Mancha is not a super exciting landscape. It's mostly just flat, and it's not a historically very important area. It's not a place you go to have big adventures. The old-timey knights that Don Quixote is inspired by from his books, they're all in more glamorous locations. Another part of the humor is that Don Quixote is in the wrong century. He is speaking a type of Spanish that is, 200 years old by the time the book is written. So modern people like us might miss this when we're reading. And Spanish is just super difficult because a lot of the vocabulary is also way outdated. But yeah, he's speaking Spanish that is antiquated at the time. A little bit more context. Don Quixote was published, the first volume, in 1604. The second volume, I think, was 1615. So this is a long time ago. The Pilgrims, for some context, the Pilgrims landed in what we now call Massachusetts in 1620. So we're talking a long time before America was really a thing, at least North America. The Virginia colony, I think, existed, and the Spanish were in St. Augustine, Florida. The Spanish Empire was all over Central and South America at this point. Spain had a lot of gold that they had taken from the Americas, and so they had a lot of sort of wealthy aristocratic types who did not do much. Don Quixote was one of those. In, fictional Don Quixote was one of those, just an old sort of aristocratic guy. He wasn't wealthy, but he didn't have to work, and he was just having adventures. Don Quixote's squire or shield bearer, I'm not sure what we call him, I think squire usually in English. The Spanish word is escudero, which suggests that he's carrying the shield. His name is Sancho Panza, and so he's not too bright, but he is not crazy. Don Quixote is a lot smarter, but he is crazy. Another part of the humor kind of involves the interaction between the smart guy who's out of his mind and the less smart guy who still, sort of sees what's actually going on. He's gullible and stuff, and he's willing to play along with Don Quixote's fantasy world up to a point, but he also is, he's in control of his, faculties. So part of the thing that's going on is the interaction between two characters who are pretty much opposites. I'm going off-road. There's a little castle back here that I guess I'm supposed to see. And man, it would be better if I were using both hands on the handlebars right now. I'll talk to you later. Okay, so here's the castle. Knighthood in Europe was a real thing. It's just Don Quixote was kind of late to the party. You're gonna have to go by my blog for more actual information. I haven't done my research on knighthood quite yet, but there were groups of knights who were involved in the Crusades, for example, trying to take back the Holy Land for Christian, Christian Europe, let's say. There were also knights who were protecting different territories, or knights who were protecting travelers in different territories. So there's a famous group of knights who were protecting the travelers along the Camino de Santiago, for example. They might have been the Orden de Santiago or not. I'll fact check that and let you know. So some of the stories about knights are true, some of them are fiction. St. George, who killed the dragon. St. George was a real person. Whether or not you believe in dragons is I guess, a personal choice that you make. The books that Don Quixote was reading were books about knights out having adventures in, France or Italy. And I assume they were mostly fantasy, not really based on true events. You're probably familiar with King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. I think that's entirely fictional. There may have been a King Arthur, but I think at this point the historians who study these things have decided that he is 100% fictional. I don't know. Anyway, knights did exist. It's just probably a bit different than what Don Quixote was fantasizing about. I'm finally out of the farmland. I've been climbing this hill, and this looks like just regular descampado. Okay, I've done some uphill, I've done some downhill. Looks like I've got a little more uphill and then a big downhill to the village of Ruidera. The lakes that I'm going to are the Lagos de Ruidera, so I guess I'm making significant progress here. I made it to Ruidera. This has been like 35 kilometers without a coffee, so I'm going to see if I can find some sustenance. I also have to get some food for tonight, because tonight I am in the middle of nowhere. So let's check out the supermarket scene here in Ruidera. Okay, big lake. There's a lot of teenagers here for some school trip, I think. It's called Laguna del Rey. I don't know if the king actually has to show up at these places. A lot of places called Del Rey in Spain that you would think the king has probably not been to. But we're here, it's nice. I had one of those alcohol-free Heinekens in Ruidera, and now I'm going to go on to La Vega, which is my official lunch plan. Did some more kilometers after Ruidera. Much more lakeside highway travel. Very nice. Had some lunch at a place called La Vega. And here we are at the Casa Rural. It's another sort of, roadside inn. I have the whole place to myself, which is a little bit unexpected. I don't know. Not a lot of people coming out here in May. Anyway, I'm going to go see a little bit of the surroundings. This is just a walk around the area behind the Casa Rural. The Quixote tie-in is there's a cave around here where Don Quixote went into the cave and came back telling, some fantastical story about the people who lived inside. I don't really remember that part of the book, but it was there apparently. You can't visit the cave anymore without hiring a guide or something. So I'm just taking a walk. This is exactly the right time of year to do this. There's all these poppies around and other kinds of flowers, which is really cool. There's also these giant thistles. I think they're thistles. If they're not thistles, they're like wild artichokes, which is probably just a type of thistle anyway. Um, they're not blooming yet, but they're these big spiny plants that you can see everywhere around here. This is the Rio Guadiana right next to me. You may know that a lot of Spanish words come from Arabic. The common Arabic prefix al, this is just the article, it's, you know, like the or whatever. And in Spanish, a lot of words like almendra or almohada have this al at the beginning. Those just mean they're words that are derived from Arabic. You may not know that Guad is another Arabic prefix. It means river. So Guadiana, Guadalajara. Guadalajara is a town, but the Guad is there. It must refer to a river in some way. Guadalquivir is an important river going through Andalusia. So a lot of times you see these Guad places and they usually refer to a river. These lakes are pretty nice. You don't see a lot of, big lakes like this in Spain. So happy to have visited this area. Thanks again to biketourinspain.com for making all of this possible. I'm going to call it a day. Tomorrow we're going to Tomelloso. So see you tomorrow.